have a question to caveat off of that because I know we briefly, I think, is it Cody? I think Cody briefly touched on it. Just like when I look at people, I don't see color. Like, you are all just human beings to me. And not that I don't see it. I acknowledge it. Like, I know, like, but I treat everybody as human beings. So, and I'm curious to, like, I guess, like, a good question is, that's kind of what she's saying, is that she wants her kids to see people as just people, right? Not necessarily a black person. So the statement of, like, I don't see color, why is that inherently a bad thing?
I can answer that. And the reason I want to answer that is just because I know you not very well, but pretty well. And you're one of those people who's got like great intentions, you know? The reason people feel put off by that statement, I think when you say I don't see color, what you mean is to say I don't only see color. Because
right. Okay.
you have to see it. It's there.
Right.
By saying you don't see it, it's essentially ignoring it.
Okay.
And that goes back to what Cody was talking about. What's that word that you use, Cody, that I like? That word, it goes back to not ignoring it, but...
When I talked about people being neutral?
Yeah, but that wasn't the word you used. I like the...
Yes, it was.
It was neutrality. Yes, it was.
Neutrality.
It goes back to that. It goes back to...
That's like saying, basically, if you walk into a room and you see a Rottweiler versus a poodle, oh, I don't see that he's a fucking Rottweiler.
Right.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Doesn't it also deny a person's experience? Because, like, that's, I feel like when people say that, it denies the experience that they have lived because of the color of their skin. Yeah?
I'm not sure that you should treat everyone the same. I mean, people have been through different things.
This is my whole thing, and this is why I'm glad we're having this conversation, Timothy. It's good that you brought that question up, because I personally hate that statement, and I know hate is such a strong word, but I do. But granted, I get your intentions based on it, and that's why I'm glad we're having a conversation. You're not saying it like other people are. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you have right intentions.
People like him who are confused.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
They can't say it.
Yeah, well, and it's really to me, the way it comes off is just like Corey said. If you go into a room with two separate dogs and it's a Rottweiler and a Chihuahua, and you say, well, I just see dogs, but they're two completely different.
Right.
Like, so, and it's like, to me, what it does, and this might be right or wrong, but this is just how I think of it in my head when I hear you don't see color. It strips people of identity and individuality. So that's what bothers me from it. But again, that's why I said I'm glad we're having this conversation.
And I think that's a big problem, though, is like a lot of people, a lot of white people, they say that, and how they mean it is like
completely different.
Completely different from the actual statement in and of itself.
But that's the point of this show.
These conversations are really scary for some people, I think.
Yeah.
I think you have to talk through things. I think you can't ignore things. I think you have to acknowledge, like, even when you think about, like you said, your sister having the conversation, like, I get it. Like, that's something I've never heard before. To just say, I'm not going to even say gay, or I'm not going to say this or that. I get that concept. But why not just talk through what it is so that they don't have, when they do hear it or when they hear it from someone else, there's no negative connotation behind it. Because you've already created the narrative for them.
Right. It's like
not this thing like, oh no, I didn't. No, two people are loving each other. Bam. That's
like,
it.
Is it similar to like a kid finally realizing there's no Santa Claus?
You can have that conversation too.
You mean like when her kids inevitably find out about like racism and anti-gay sentiments and stuff?
Like it's gonna throw them off because, like, for example, in particular, I can speak for myself. My parents told me my dad don't even celebrate it, but my mother told me, I'm getting you your gifts. Ain't no Santa Claus. So when it was the bottom line, I didn't get side or messed up because when you kids really believe in Santa Claus, literally.
And you can explain to them why. You can explain to them the history behind it, or why people believe it, or why some parents don't tell their kids. Like, have those conversations.
I mean, my husband and I were very, very clear with our sons. Now they're my stepsons, but I was with them since they were 7. Now they're 25. You know, they're great guys. They're twins, whatever. Love them. But we were very, very clear about being okay with same-sex relationships, and had, you know, friends that they knew, et cetera, et cetera. And one day, one of the kids came home when he was like 8 or 9 and said, "Oh, that's so gay." And you better believe I sat him down.
Yeah.
And I probably shamed the poor child, because I said, "Do you realize what you're saying? Do you realize that what you're saying is like a negative connotation toward Danny, who is your friend and who is, you know," and, you know, I'm sure I scarred him for life. But what I'm saying is that we were really clear about it and had conversations with him, and he still went to school and got that language and brought it home, because that's what kids do.